Just a reminder, as this week has begun, the next set of weapons available from our side for Into the Light is of course here, which includes the Hammerhead and Forbearance, which ironically enough, the two weapons that I would recommend getting is not only Forbearance to complete the Forbearance quest, but also the Commemoration, basically the next Hammerhead, after Hammerhead was sunset. Now, in order to get the Hammerhead, you need to either defeat combatants rapidly anywhere in the system, bonus progress with Onslaught, or defeating combatants in Vanguard Ops, or in higher difficulty Nightfalls, specifically using machine guns. And of course, then there's rapidly defeating combatants with the breech-loaded grenade launcher anywhere in the system, bonus progress for Onslaught, or defeating combatants in raids or dungeons using grenade launchers. Probably just going to head over to Grasp of Avarice for that one. Moving on to the rest of the world, though, there is a double rewards Crucible week ahead of you. So if you want to actually just farm out some Crucible stuff and you're just bored of doing it regularly, I'd advise going out to get some extra rewards there. But speaking of rewards, for the weekly Nightfall weapon for the Strike playlist in the Nightfall section is actually Loaded Question, which is a nifty enough high impact frame fusion rifle, although I wouldn't recommend spending some time going at it over and over again unless you're really itching out for the perfect roll of it. And speaking of farming out, the current available Nightfall is the Lake of Shadows in the EDZ, which was made harder by its rework. I don't know if it is impossible for most people, although, like I said, it is definitely the harder spectrum, at least in the opening bits, although a dedicated team can still find their way through it, no problem. With that, all three elemental shields, barrier, and unstoppable, even though you're going to be fighting mostly Taken. And then arc threat for incoming arc damage, actually Taken and Cabal, I forgot about that. And then Extinguish, Limited Revive, Scorched Earth for more grenades headed your way, Chaff for no radar, Overcharge weapons normally for the season, Strand and Solar Surge, and Overcharge Machine Gun. So I might recommend bringing a machine gun for ad clear. But then getting into the rest of the world, nothing new on Gambit. On the Crucible side, of course, Momentum Control is currently active, which is the Rotator 1 for 66 Quick Play, Normal Control, then Checkmate Survival for 3v3 Labs, and Elimination for 3v3 Quick Play, and the usual, definitely Trials for this weekend. But then throughout the rest of the world, of course, there is still just the Whisper mission for Into the Light, as well as Onslaught and Space Forms. We also don't have any more of the extra maps, just to keep you all updated, but getting into the Legends tab for all the weeklies. Operation Seraph Shield for our weekly farming dungeon. Now, that's not a dungeon, weekly farming exotic mission. Speaking of exotic, though, Crota's End, the all-for-one challenge is currently active, which is Crota's challenge. Master mode is strength focused in case you want to go for the Crota Adepts. But then, let's see, I'm just trying to keep track of things. I believe Pit of Heresy? No, not that. Duality is actually our current weekly farming dungeon, which it does have, of course, access to Artifice Armor on Master Mode. Although Galron's cheese has been patched, this probably is still a better one to farm out, at least if you're not willing to wait for Grasp of Avarice to come back around. But speaking of farming dungeon, the farming raid is in the Dreaming City on the Last Wish raid, which of course means all 5 challenge modifiers are active. There isn't a hard mode, so you can't get any adepts. However, there is, of course, red borders to farm out in case you want to go for it, or just want access to 1,000 voices finally after all this time. Checking in with Neomuna and wrapping everything up, the weekly mission is First Contact, which is probably the easier one to farm of all the missions, considering it's literally just going through the Cabal ship, and you don't have to do that point or that part where you sit down on Neomuna. And on that same point, Vex Incursion Zone is currently liming Harbor in Neomuna, and the partition is the hard reset Sparrow one, which is a pretty nifty one to play for at that. And darting through all the raids while we were here, going backwards, Illuminated Torment Challenge, first encounter for Root of Nightmares. For the Throne World, we currently have Invalid Disciple base information, which is second encounter challenge, if I recall off the top of my head. Going into Europa for Neomuna, we have on the Deepstone Crypt the Core 4, and we don't need to check Last Wish because it's all currently active. But then for our legacy content, Vault of Glass is Ensembles for Fame Atheon Challenge, and King's Fall is currently under construction, which is, I keep forgetting, I think that's Daughter's Challenge, because I believe it was Golgoroth last week, just to keep in track of everything. But from that point, that's pretty much everything darting throughout the world, except for Dares of Eternity, which the rotation is on Master Mode. I've fallen Valis to Auric for that. And like I said, I am cutting loose a few raids from the rotation just because they aren't exactly needing to require, and I haven't needed to catch up with anything seasonal just because it has been mostly the same, and there isn't much that changes with the coil, so, you know, I'm just kind of skipping over all of that. But as I walk in the wrong direction, I actually want to check out the Eververse tab next for our Bright Dust options. So on the front page, we have a few shaders right off the bat. The Meditator shader from Season of the Risen, which is a bit misleading because I expected a lot more purple. I guess the main shader could be a really dark tone purple, but, you know, hard to tell. We also have Gloam Strife, which is one of those ones that makes it look like wood in your armor. It's not terrible, although it's just not great either. Then we also have the Vitreous entrance, which is basically a Vault of Glass Oracle sort of entrance. And then we also have the Necrosis ornament for the Recluse. Since it is returned, it is, of course, making its return. Although, at base does look cool, I think the model actually makes it look a little bit better than basic, although the spiderwebs everywhere kind of throws it off a little bit, personally. And we also have the Sparrow Getaway emote from Season of the Haunted, which is a cute little you messed up riding a mini sparrow emote. Then into the main store, we have for our shaders, Celestial Dome, which it looks very evangelical, very shiny and shadered. Neopop Wave, which is one of those ones that might give you a headache. You might love it. It's hard to tell whether or not you're an e-girl. Boreal Char, which is one of those darker tones, you know, simple black and whites. Dead Orbit, if they were still around. And Growing Guilt, which is basically just another one of those old Dawning shade, or that's not the right word. Revelry shaders that I think just got re-entered back into rotation. For transmats, we have Vex Invasion effects from Season of Osiris, which is, you know, basic look. AI.Respawn Reboot, which is basically Rasputin effects, one of the most popular ones. And the Ossified entrance, which is the Scorpion Tail entrance, which is one of the most popular ones I think I've seen nowadays. For our main ticket items, we have the trap setting, which is you basically going out in the woods and setting a bear trap, an imaginary bear trap while I'm at it. Oh, nope, there it goes. And we have the helmets for the Season of Dawn armor. Now, I am starting to, I believe this is the last set that's been available. Like, it has gone all the way around rotation. So, if you want to make sure to either complete the thing or at least get a discount, or if you like the helmet on any of your characters, which, keep in mind, it is the retrospective Hunter and Warlock for every other character, I'd recommend picking it up now because there is a chance that the flashback is disappearing soon. So if you want that, get it now, or at least get it for discount out of the archive. You also have the Firebreak Shell, which is basically a fighter ghost, which is really cute with tiny little water cannons. And we have the Synchrotron Advancer, which is a pretty basic look for a speedy-looking ship, although not much fancier than that. Pinballer, which I guess is from this season, but I think it's supposed to be another Neo Muna arcade-based set for the Crash Dome. And something I'm excited for, the Business End ornament for Sweet Business, which is basically a Red Legion ornament for it, which I just really like the model. This is one of those examples of love the model, wish could shader, because I would totally run this one practically permanently and just shader otherwise. It already looks cool, but it's still, I like to customize every now and again. And lastly, to ignore, as always, we have the Secure Projection, which is a just ghost projection. I might just start skipping that outright just because it is never really worth it, at least to me, ever since finding the Siva one that just looks good. Visiting Banshee on his front page, we have Whispering Slab. I'm so used to saying Lunalata. Whispering Slab is a lightweight bow from Season 11. It is nifty enough. It has some solid enough rolls. However, like I said, it's over a decade old in Seasons. No crafting, no nothing, so it's hard to vouch for it. However, Cartesian is in a similar state. It's almost just 2 seasons younger, but it's still a pretty solid damage fusion rifle. If you're still looking for a good one, especially with all the solar buffs right now, I might recommend it for the last half of the season. True Prophecy, a role that I would say is pretty solid PvE or PvP-wise. It is aggressive frame, kinetic hand cannon, which I know a lot of people just look for those in general. But it is, again, outdated like crazy. It's even older than Whispering Slab there. And then we also have Disparity, which I would recommend for some folks, especially this role for Crucible. However, it is, of course, craftable, so if you have a role that you would like for PvE or PvP, I'd recommend just picking it up and spending maybe a few deep sight thingies on it to, you know, craft it. And then we also have Code Duello, which is a rocket launcher that was one of the first of the sticky detonators ones, but at the same time has been far outshined by a variety of other ones. This one's a nifty enough roll, but I've seen other chain reaction field prep rolls that wouldn't really require this one. And checking with Ada after she helped us find our dog. I have a video on explaining that if you would like to check that one out. But aside from the shaders, we have Vitrified Duality from Season of Dawn, which is a solid enough look, very mercurial at its base. As well as New Pacific Sync, but worn, so you look a little tattered and torn in case you just want a little decayed hazy blue. And speaking of blue, War Cult Rain, which is a dark blue with the yellow that looks very future War Cult. It's just not that shiny or clean at the main time. And with that, that is everything having to do with the reset update. Now, like I said, I have a quest out for finding our lost dog, Archie. He went on a little trip throughout the tower, and I just want to let y'all know that it is access to a few secrets that have to do with Into the Light. But aside from that, my name is TheMadScorpyon. I thank you for watching.